Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. A couple of weeks ago, I discussed a movie that is beloved by myself, but has been critically panned by many, the Scooby-Doo movie. Well, in today's video, I plan on discussing its sequel, Monsters Unleashed. Come on, you all saw this coming. I've established that I love Scooby-Doo on this channel, and that it's a childhood favourite of mine. Anyways, without further ado, on with the review.
Polos is life, 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 sleep all night and then Polos is life.
Unfortunately, my review on the first Scooby-Doo live-action movie took a lot of effort and stress to put out, as I kept getting claimed.
Where's the money, Lebowski? Where's the fucking money, shithead?
It's down there somewhere. Let me take another look.
I managed to finally avoid this by using only my speed paint footage during my commentary sections of the video for the most part. In order to avoid this from happening again, I chose to use the same editing style for this video as well, which I hope isn't too boring for you guys. It seems like Warner Bros. Is really unforgiving with this kind of stuff. Mystery Inc. start their adventure at a red carpet event, the opening of the Coulsonian Criminology Museum, the museum's name being an obvious reference to the name of the town that the gang reside in. Apparently the event is dedicated to the gang's success at mystery solving. Much like in the opening of the first movie, the gang are swarmed by fans, although this time the fans are devoted to all of the members of Mystery Inc., rather than just Fred. I like how each member has a specific demographic too, not dissimilar to fan demographics of groups in real life. For example, Fred has his teenage fangirls, Daphne has a mixed bag of girls and Sims, Velma has her group of nerdy college girls of ambiguous sexuality, Scooby has cute little dogs, and Shaggy has, well...
Oh, Lord.
Our favourite amateur sleuths have donated the costumes of criminals they have caught to the museum, including classic Scooby-Doo monsters such as the 10,000 Volt Ghost and the Tar Monster. Velma spots the museum curator, Patrick Wisely, who's played by Seth Green at the event, and she has a little love at first sight moment. Whenever I see this guy, I want to tell him to zip it.
We're not so different, you and I.
Some spooky pseudo-horror movie-ish goes down, and the pterodactyl costume becomes possessed or something.
In case you haven't noticed, there's an unidentified freaky object in here!
This movie's villain, some weird Dracula figure with a badly animated metal mask, appears at the window, and tells the gang that this is only the first rung of their demise. A spooky appearance with a homicidal threat thrown in. I like this man's style. Velma finds a reptilian scale, and the Black Knight Ghost and 10,000 Volt Ghost costumes are both missing. Please tell me that this isn't going to be a David Icke scenario with that reptilian nonsense.
You didn't have to cut me off. We were nothing.
So this evil reporter bitch writes this horrible story about Mystery Inc., and the gang try to figure out a way to solve it. As they're all meant to be adults in this universe, it's nice to see that they all live in a nice HQ together with a colourful cartoonish design. Velma runs tests on the scale, and discovers that it's real, so they decide to visit their prime suspect, the cellmate of the original costume's creator, and the original Black Knight Ghost, Jeremiah Wickles. That is a really Scooby-Doo-ish name, so props to the writers once again. This guy was snooping around the red carpet earlier, making him very suspicious. The gang get picked on by kids before they fall into a trap set by Wickles, and will only be released when he returns home at 7 PM. The gang also appear to have company while trapped.
You want to buy a box of cookies?
Excuse me, have you heard the good news?
Yeah, there's cookies.
Luckily for them, however, Daphne uses whatever is in her handbag to set them all free.
Square strip. And voila.
This is another gag from the Scooby-Doo cartoons, except this wasn't used in the original movie, so I'm glad to see it being used here. Now, this is where the film starts to get a lot more interesting. While looking for clues, Shaggy finds a gramophone and that Wickles has some very questionable taste in music. Somehow these two idiots find an actual clue in a party invitation, but run into the Black Knight Ghost as well. We get some more Scooby-Doo shenanigans as the gang try to escape him. Fred gets beaten up while trying to be macho, and Daphne turns into Buffy again. Velma actually defeats him by finding his weakest point.
Which makes his weakest point right here!
Later, Patrick wisely shows up at the HQ to ask Velma on a date, and Daphne gives her a makeover.
Who's your mommy?
My mommy?
Shaggy and Scooby attend a party where all of the partygoers are ex-convicts, who really hate Mystery Inc., but they find Old Man Wickles there. Scooby also performs a dance number, exposing him and Shaggy. Velma's date is interrupted when the museum is broken into again, and the reporter lady from earlier takes Fred's words out of context again.
Hey, you're doing that thing again where you take everything I say out of context. You're trying to make it look like I think Coolsville sucks. No, don't record that.
Shaggy and Scooby come across Patrick, who is acting really suspicious, making him suspect number 2 in the audience's eyes. Fred, Velma, and Daphne follow Wickles, who turns out to just be pitching a mining-themed theme park to investors, but it fails thanks to the interruption. Shaggy and Scooby find a lab where they mess around, and we get the famous scene with Einstein Scooby and both female and buff dumbass Shaggy. The effects here definitely aren't amazingly realistic, but they're alright. The gang find a secret part of the lab with the rest of the now transformed costumes, and they steal the masked figure's control panel. In response, he sends his monsters after the gang, with complete disregard for the state of Coolsville. The gang return to their old high school clubhouse, and we get a nice flashback scene of them messing around. The gang then spew some technobabble and make a plan to destroy the monsters, and we're given a nice 80s montage once again.
Here I go, it's time to show I'm not a loser.
Scooby and Shaggy lament being cowardly screw-ups, and Captain Cutler's ghost hunts the gang now, so they race to the villain's lab lair to complete their plan. Fred and Daphne fight off the 10,000-volt ghost and Black Knight Ghost, and then have a sappy moment together. To be fair, these two do have really good chemistry. I suppose it helps being a married couple in real life. Velma then gives the machine to Shaggy and Scooby, and she then discovers what looks like an old shrine to Jacobo, and is interrupted by Patrick. She almost falls to her death while assuming the worst about him, but he rescues her, only for him to be carried away by the pterodactyl. The gang are attacked by the tar monster, but Scooby rescues them by freezing it with a fire extinguisher, and he defeats the other monsters and destroys them just in time. All that's needed now is to unmask that weird guy. It was actually the evil reporter lady who was secretly Dr. Jacobo and his cameraman, Ned. It turns out that Patrick really did just have a weird personality. We get a nice moment of Fred's stupidity to round off the mystery too.
The real identity of Ned is... Ow! Ned!
Velma decides to grow some balls and confesses her feelings to Patrick, and Shaggy and Scooby are their usual goofy selves. It looks like it's all well that ends well once again for Mystery Incorporated. I know that a lot of people prefer this movie to the first one, but to be honest, I do prefer the first, although I still like this one. I just prefer the style of humour in the original movie. I will say that the effects are much better in this movie, and the character designs of the main group are much more similar to their cartoon counterparts. I like how they also cast the same actors for Mystery Inc. too. Recasts and sequels have always been a pet peeve of mine. I love all of the references to classic Scooby-Doo in this movie, including all of the reappearances of well-known monsters. I feel like these movies really inspired the later, similarly darker Scooby-Doo series, Mystery Incorporated from 2011. I don't intend on this being my last Scooby-Doo review, so if you guys are interested in future Scooby-Doo content, let me know. Well, that's all for this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave your thoughts in the comments down below. And as always, thanks for watching.
Nothing like a polo to ease my mind. With polos by my side, I'll always shine. The blue and green ones are my favorite kind, but I'll eat the colored ones from time to time. Cause polos is life, 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 polos is life. Sleep all night and then